Everybody, it's Friday. The country is in need of the wit and wisdom of none other than the 7-foot tall guru of Texas, Mr. Jesse Kelly, who joins us now. He's also host of I'm Right with Jesse Kelly on Pluto TV's channel 248, The First. And also he is of the Jesse Kelly Show, which is on KPRC Houston. The great lead-in for the fantastic Buck Sexton show, which is right after him. So people in Houston have 6 hours of radio they need to listen to every night. Jesse, great to have you on.
It is good to be here. I don't know if everybody's going to appreciate my wisdom because I have a little different take on everything that's going on now than everyone else, but I'm giving it anyway.
Well, that's what we're here for, man. We know that we can go unfiltered, uncensored with Jesse Kelly, especially if we're taping it, because then we can bleep out anything we have to. So, which is always a smart move, I found out. So, dude, I'll tell you this. You know, my brother. I've got two brothers. They're the greatest dudes in the world. You'd want them in your foxhole. You'd want them at your party. Like, they're great guys. My brother last night was at a Whole Foods here, and he's like, I wonder. And he texted me. He's like, I wonder what it's going to be like in there. And it was kind of like that scene in a movie where he walks in and it's like, oh, it's very quiet. It's kind of civilized. And then he turned a corner and he started sending me photos in real time. Empty shelf, empty shelf, empty shelf. Oh, there's the vegan section, totally full. Empty shelf, empty shelf. Like, what's it like down in Texas right now? Are people panic buying like that?
No, and this is interesting. I had a conversation with somebody from Pennsylvania, somebody who lives, not rural, but I mean, certainly not big city Pennsylvania. And I asked, hey, what's it like there? Are the shelves empty? Are people panicking? And this person told me point blank, they said, no. They said they think all this panic everyone else is doing is ridiculous. Everybody's going about their lives relatively normally. And yesterday I went to an arcade. I took my son to an arcade, which arcades are sweet now, by the way. I highly recommend it. I haven't done that in forever. Took my sons to an arcade, went to a gym, went to a restaurant, went to a grocery store. All of them I frequent regularly. The crowds were just as packed as normal. It's as if nothing has changed down here. And frankly, I love it. I think the panic is absurd for a virus that is almost completely safe for people who are not old and sick. Now, if you work with somebody who's old and sick, you need to take extra precautions. If you're not somebody who's like that, yes, wash your hands more. But this hoarding things as if this is the Black Death Part 2 is the most absurd public panic I've ever seen in my entire life. Even if I had symptoms, I wouldn't go get tested because the virus isn't even dangerous to me.
I got to tell you, I remember it wasn't Hurricane Sandy, which did hit New York really, really badly. There was a hurricane warning before that, maybe a couple of years. I don't even remember what it was called, but I do remember that I had friends who were acting on the sort of the advice of the city and stuff, in the middle of Manhattan, who were filling their bathtubs so that they could have access to fresh water. And then when the storm actually came, it was nothing. It was like some high wind. And that was one of these times. And we had all been told, and the Whole Foods was just, it was like, bougie fight night, man. I mean, people were in each other's faces. I went to one. Everybody was stocking up. They're all, really, really freaked out. I'm of the mind, because I'm here in New York, and I think you got to take this thing seriously. I also agree with you about the high-risk population issue, and, especially if someone like cares for their parents, and their parents are in their 60s, 70s, or 80s. Like, that's a different situation. But the hoarding of food, and particularly the hoarding of toilet paper, I mean, I just saw a tweet before where where's Summerlin? I don't even know where Summerlin is. And this is like, I know more about Mideast geography than American geography. But they said there's like a 3-hour line to get into the Costco, just to get in, never mind to get out.
Yeah, and think about that level of panic, Buck, for something that has killed 40 people, and over 20 of those people were from the exact same nursing home in the state of Washington. Again, I am not saying this thing is nothing. It's not nothing. It is serious. It spreads like wildfire. If you are old with heart and lung problems, it is dangerous extremely for you. For everyone else, including children, there is no indication this thing is in any way dangerous. In fact, all the numbers point to the fact the regular flu is more dangerous for you and me and kids than this Wuhan flu. And people are lining up at Costco, stocking up on toilet paper like they're going to crap themselves to death. I find that to be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, Summerlin, by the way, is in Nevada. I didn't know. I just learned something new. A little American geography lesson for the Bucks are in real time. Because I can't say things like that on air and not correct myself. I got to know where everything is. Although, whatever. We're not on radio in Summerlin, so work on that, Summerlin. Work on it. But, I got to tell you, man, I think that next week we're really going to see, and I'm going to put this out there. I am hoping that I'm not preparing for this to be the case because I think that it would be, but there's a part of me that hopes that really this has been that it's like 20 or 30% the anxiety and the fear and the actions we're all taking are completely warranted, because I think there is reason to do stuff and to get ready for this, no question. But I'm hoping that this has been magnified substantially by the media to the point where within a couple of weeks we'll be able to turn around and say, wow, they really were doing this because Orange Man bad and they hate Trump at some level. It's not entirely, but I think that there's been a desire to exaggerate and exacerbate so that they can hurt people's, or they can make fear worse than it would otherwise be based on the facts.
Oh, no question. There's some of that. Now, I'm actually not going to act like that's all of it, because the truth is, when it comes to diseases, they have a way of scaring the public in the way that other things don't. I mean, the disease is one of those natural human fears because you can't see it. I mean, all you know is all of a sudden you get it, you're dead. So it's something people are scared of. But the truth of the matter is, we lose sight of the working man, too. I mean, everyone's talking about, I can't fill out my March Madness bracket because they're canceling all these, sports. They just canceled the Masters. And look, maybe that stuff's warranted, maybe it's not. But it's not about the players and the millionaires and the owners. The people, take a step back and think about how many people's livelihoods depend on. I've been talking regularly, hourly working people depend on these events going off. And without a second thought, everybody's just closing everything down. Well, that's fine for the millionaire golfer. Tiger Woods is going to be fine. What about the families that make their entire living, all their profit off the Masters going off in Augusta? And it's gone now. I mean, I'm not saying there's no reason to close anything, but let's not just close everything willy-nilly, because it really affects working people.
Yeah, I worry about the economic implications of this, because, there's some people who, like, we're continuing to work, right, and we're doing what we do. But there are some people, and by the way, we're affected too, because what keeps us on the air, right? Sponsors. What do sponsors do? They sell products to the public. So if people are not buying, fortunately, a lot of our sponsors you can buy online or you go online, right? I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them, that's the case. But it affects everybody economically. I mean, looking at your 401k right now is just like a form of self-torture. It's just a bad idea. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Come back to me come back in a year or 6 months at least, maybe a year, and see how you're doing then. And by the way, it might be longer than that. It could be 2 years. But anyway, but Jesse, I just want to know, if you do have to engage in some self-distancing, which it sounds like you're not going to, what is the Kelly family's like self-distancing pastimes? What do you guys do?
Exactly what we did this morning. Right now, I'm actually letting my boys play video games. We spent the last hour out at the public park playing basketball, and we're just going to continue to live our lives. And if I have to continue with the Jesse Kelly show from my living room, then you guys are going to all see me in my pajamas, and they're pretty risque, let me tell you.
Well, there we go, man. By the way, speaking of risque, yeah, you know where this is going. So, Mr. Jesse Kelly, you are well known for making jokes that make many of us, including me, laugh. But they're the kind of jokes that many of us are like, I don't know, like, I would always be, by the way, I actually got in trouble once just for responding to one of your jokes. So that's, speaking of contagion, there's Jesse Kelly humor contagion. If you just respond to a Jesse Kelly joke, the wokeness will come after you. They're like, how dare you? It's Jesse Kelly. So Jesse's tweet was the following. Hold on a second. In response to the NCAA men's and women's tournaments will be held without fans and only essential staff and limited family in attendance, Jesse wrote, quote, with a heavy heart, I must announce that nobody will attend the NCAA women's basketball tournament for the 40th consecutive year, end quote. Jesse, what has the response to this tweet been like?
It has been an endless barrage of female ESPN personalities, WNBA players, and every local hack radio white knight trying to scold me on behalf of the local women's team, trying to tell me how wonderful women's basketball is, and women's basketball sucks. And everybody knows women's basketball sucks. And it's not like I have anything against women playing it. I think that's great. It keeps everybody in good shape and looking good, and that's really important. But my thing is, don't insist that I acknowledge something is enjoyable to watch when it's not. You brought up women's tennis. We were talking earlier. Like you said, that's a good product. Women's basketball itself is such an athletic game. It's running, it's jumping, and people watch sports to see things that they can't do, that they don't feel like they would be able to do. And the truth of the matter is women's basketball is boring because women aren't as physically athletic as men. That's not even close to being controversial. That's a fact. The truth is the average high school player or the best player in the WNBA couldn't make the top 20 high school basketball men's teams in this country. And that's a fact. That's just a fact. It's a sport about athleticism. But they
Yeah, no. So I want to ask you, why do all these people then, especially those who make a living commenting on sports? I mean, we did when we were talking right before, right in the break. You know, I'm an avid tennis player. I love tennis. I've been playing my whole life. Women's tennis is a great product. I mean, and those women, by the way, would beat 99.999%, at the professional level. They'd beat anybody who wasn't at least a men's D1 college level player, any female on the tour. And those are guys who are really, really good at tennis. And there are even some women like Serena Williams who would beat pretty much all, D1 tennis player guys and could probably beat up to the top 100 or so of men on the tour. So there's just this, it's a different sport. There's greater parity because, as you point out, it's not just, there's not quite the same focus on size, speed, strength. Why is it that people get so upset? Whenever, I think the WNBA is a boring product to watch too. Why can't I? It's just an opinion about an entertainment. Like, why can't I? If I don't like a movie, I can say that. Why? Although you can with the all-female Ghostbusters, which I guess is kind of answering my own question here. Why can't you say the WNBA is boring, Jesse?
Here's why, and this actually points to a larger societal problem. We have watched the leftists, the social justice warriors, completely reorder society, and they've been successful. It's not like they're trying. They've done it. They've completely reordered society, and they've done it in such a way to where what's up is now down, what's left is now right, and you are not allowed to say the sky is blue anymore. If they decide that women's basketball is just as good as the men's, then you're not allowed to say otherwise. So if they decide that the sky is green and the sky is green and the sky is green, and if you dare to step up and say the sky is blue, they will try to bully you and shut you up from acknowledging the simple fact that everybody else on earth can see. And it's why I always win when I get in these little dust-ups with them, because in the end, I'm right.
Yeah, on this one, I saw your apology too, which I appreciated. But, look, I mean, and also, by the way, I'm not telling anybody don't watch the WNBA, or you can't watch. Great, if someone really enjoys it. But you and I both know, like, the people who enjoy women's professional basketball are either women who play basketball a lot or people who have family members who are, like, playing in college or something like that. The stands are pretty empty at a lot of those games. And I also think that people, like, take their daughters to it because it's become this, like, parents will take their daughters to the WNBA because it's become this kind of girl power thing, which I don't really understand why they wouldn't do that they don't do that with other sports.
Oh, there's no question. And there's more towards basketball. Basketball, even the men's, even NBA, basketball's always been a little bit more woke, if you will, than the other sports. So there's this real I am woman, hear me roar thing to it. And like you said, look, if you want to go to a WNBA game, a lot of people love hurting themselves.
All right, everybody. Jesse Kelly, he's going to be grilling steaks, hanging out with the fam, playing video games, going to the arcade and the gym this weekend. He is not worried, but he's right. With Jesse Kelly is the show that he has on Pluto TV, Channel 248 the first. If you haven't, guys, especially right now, entertainment is going to be really valuable in the weeks ahead. Download that Pluto TV app, and you can watch me, you can watch Jesse, Dana Lash. So do check that out. And also KPRC Houston, you get Jesse Kelly, followed by Buck Sexton. So from 7 Eastern all the way up until midnight, it's just awesomeness.
Yeah, that's a lot of greatness on the radio right there.
It is indeed. Jesse Kelly, everybody. Jesse, thanks, my man. Be safe.
See you, boss.
But somebody said to me, no, when you elbow bump, you get close to the person. So forget any physical contact, greetings. Bow in Eastern style.
Bow in the Eastern style, Nancy Pelosi says. I will say if this means that that I've never been I'm just gonna say it. I've never been a big handshake person, and I know that it's supposed to be like kind of a manly thing for a lot of people. Oh, handshake, and Also, when people in the past, I mean, I give a normal. I don't do like a weak handshake, but people that like squeeze my hand aggressively, I'm like, okay, do you want to see who can punch harder? Like, why are you trying to make my hand uncomfortable? I don't like it. I've never been somebody that is a big hand. I know there's a handshake deal and there's all this stuff out there. I'm not a big handshake person. Never really have been. So we'll have to, and it does. In moments like this, you got to ask yourself, what are we doing here? Why would we continue to have handshakes? Elbow touching is bizarre, obviously. I think some form of, if you want some form of salute would be fine. I think if you want to be a little more formal, a little more respectful, that would make sense to me. I think if everyone walked around kind of giving a salute, it's the same reason I like to call everyone sir and ma'am. Until I know you, you're sir and ma'am. I feel like I even call producer Mark sometimes sir, just because, he's producer Mark, and if I don't, he'll get surly. So, you got to be able to adapt under the circumstances here. And I think that making sure that you don't have to shake everybody's hand. And it's also, look, a lot of people you see when you're in like the airport restroom and you see people coming out of there. Hand washing reminders that we're seeing right now. It's not just for Wuhan virus. The hand washing reminders should be out there for everybody on everything. There's a reason why they have those up. I'm always in a restaurant bathroom. I'm like, why do they have to have this employees must wash hands thing? Because some people need to be reminded. So I'm all for changing this up a little bit, and this is where I'll start to bring up more of the aftermath of Spanish flu and how that affected our culture in really important ways. That'll be something we got to do next week. This topic's obviously not going anywhere, so I'll have a lot of time to spend with you on all of that. But the getting fresh air and being out in the sun and all this, actually a lot of it is a legacy of our battle with Spanish influenza. So that's something to keep in mind here, that there's going to be things that even after this disease passes are changed in our culture, and there'll be cultural references and touchstones that we'll be aware of long after this is gone. So look, I've been saying to you, I want you all to make sure you have a great weekend. I also want to get into your thoughts on all this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that. We did talk, unfortunately, right now there are more pressing concerns. We did talk about getting a voicemail box set up for all of you so you can call and we can hear you and play your audio on the show. We are going to do that, but first we got to make sure the world doesn't collapse. So that's on the back burner, but it is on the burner, so we will get to it.
It's time for roll call.
Team, I'm going to want to hear from you a lot in the weeks ahead. You guys might be, especially if we go into lockdown mode here in New York. The show is going to continue. Don't worry about that. But you're going to be my contact with you. I'm not going to be able to see family. We're going to be self-distance from family here in New York. At least I'm going to self-distance from family.
You're not even going to get to see me.
That's probably true. I
No.
will FaceTime though,
Why?
just so you can see my smiling face. I don't want you to miss me too much.
I know what you look like.
Ouch. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a lack of human connectivity for a while here in the city. That's going to happen for at least a few weeks. So hearing from all of you is going to be really helpful for the show. But also, look, I'm going to want to hear from you across the country. Tell me, I want to hear what you guys are going through. I want to hear if you're scared, if you're not scared. I want to see if there's lines at store or not. If the local schools have shut down. One thing I think might be an outcome I was mentioning before, some of the cultural and political takeaways from all this. One thing that I think is going to be very relevant here is a lot of people are going to have their kids at home that aren't used to that because the schools are closing. I mean, are all schools in New York about to close, or where are we with the public schools? No, it's if you have a case, it closes for the day.
Yeah.
They're keeping the schools open for now. But some places, I think the schools are. Somebody told me that his kid's school in Baltimore was shut down for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think the worry in New York City is that there's 100,000 kids that are homeless and rely on meals from the schools.
So they have
that's
to
why
keep them
don't wanna
open
close
as
them.
kind of a support system, support network for children here. So you have And I want to hear from all of you across the country. I mean, you guys are going to be giving us. I want you to be my frontline correspondents for what you're seeing. Whether it's up in Portland, down in Austin, out in Boston, in Fort Wayne, in Baltimore, and you name it. We have affiliates all across the country. I'm going to want to hear from you. And if you're listening to the iHeart app in the middle of wherever, all you need is cell service, right? You're listening in central Montana. I think we're actually on a station in Montana somewhere. But anyway, yeah, no, I'm just saying we're on 160, so it's hard to keep track. All right, Elam. Hey, Buck. For the last 4 months, I've been working in a mind-numbing and soul-destroying contract role. And the light at the end of the tunnel every day has been your podcast show. Thank you so much, Elam. I really appreciate that, man. I arrived from my 9-to-5 job to keep ahead of the curve. Earphones in, head down, always moving forward. Good for you, man. Stay in the fight. I finish in 4 weeks' time. However, you will continue to be my daily podcast show so that I can hopefully watch your name and brand grow from strength to strength. Thank you so much, Elam. I really appreciate all that. Your Bernie impressions, the millionaires and the billionaires, have given me many morning chuckles, as well as your interactions with producer Mark. You two make for a good team. Keep up the good work, and thank you again for being that familiar and dependable voice in my earphones every day. Elam, absolutely, my man. Shields high, and thank you so much. Great to have you on the team, and it's an honor that I get to keep you informed, entertained, and honestly just keep you company. And I'm somebody who, because I was such a long-time radio listener, I know what it's like when you develop that, that feeling of community you have when the host, I mean, for me it was Rush, when the host of that show is your connection to all these other like-minded people across the country. It's a special thing. And plus, I got producer Mark. Does anybody else have producer Mark?
You won the
as
producer
wonderful and as incredible as the Rush Limbaugh show is. Do they have a producer Mark?
They don't.
I mean, they do have Mr. Snerdley, who's pretty awesome. You ever met Snerdley?
I have not.
He's actually great.
I'd
You guys
love
would
to
get
meet him.
along too. Mr. Snerdley is no BS.
Isn't he in Florida with Rush?
Yeah.
So
But I'm just saying. Yeah.
one day we'll meet.
Yeah. He is a little larger than you are. I think he's about 6'4" ish. He's a big fellow. The name Mr. Snerdley does not evoke a man who I believe is about 6'3" or 6'4", and I mean he looks like he could be a D end on the Giants. He's a large guy.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
So I will not mess with the guy.
Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah, don't pick a fight
Not
with
that
Snerdley.
I plan to. But
No, of course.
Yeah.
You guys would love each other. All right. Jim writes, "Hey Buck, I'm a liberal. Pardon me. I'm a medical laboratory scientist at a major hospital system in the Michigan area. So my coworkers and I handle all the testing starting today. Since there were 2 cases yesterday on the other side of the state, people in the healthcare system are in full-blown panic mode. All non-clinical staff are to work from home till future notice. All entrances are locked except one, which is fully manned with a screening team. All people are screened upon entrance. If people come in and have symptoms, the room is shut down for 2 hours after they leave, and then cleaning starts. It's crazy how much panic the government and corporations are stirring up. To make it all worse, from Sunday till today, I've not only seen the first positive flu A tests I've seen all year, the rest of the season has been mostly flu B. But out of the 50 states I've run, over 50%, 50 tests I've run, over 50% have been positive. So the system will be stressed even more with the giant uptick in flu. Just wanted to give you some info from someone who is dealing with this disaster. My overall assessment is the media and the Dems see this as their last and best chance to beat Trump in November. The public be damned. I've also passed the buck to 8 other people and turned to you for their daily news coverage now. Shields high, fellow patriot. Well, Jim, man, you're on the front lines of this, and thank you for some insight into what we're seeing and also for passing the buck to other people. It's a great help to us, and it's an honor. And I when I say I appreciate it, I really do mean that. Even producer Mark gets a big smile when we see the podcast numbers going up every month. And they've only gone up about 50% in the last 6 months overall. So only 50%. Yeah.
I passed the buck yesterday.
Really?
I got into an Uber from the train station. I can't use my car for whatever reason, but he was talking about Rush. So I go, and he was complaining that he won't have any sports to listen to because they're all canceled.
Yeah.
So I go, if you need something to listen to in the car, Buck Sexton Show podcast.
Bam!
Yeah.
Producer Mark even passes the buck.
Look at me.
Well done. High five for us. It's good.
And now he'll know what I look like.
Yeah, and it's nice because also now we hopefully can both continue to get paychecks to buy food. So when we're standing in line for hours and hours at Costco, at least our credit cards will work.
I can't even imagine doing it.
That's where we're heading, I think. John, oh my gosh, here we go. Wow, I just got. It's funny. As I'm here, I'm talking about this. Wow. They've just they have told me that I ordered from a delivery service a few days ago because that's very common in New York, and they're telling me that it's like basically missing everything. I just got that email from on here. Of course. I knew that was going to happen. So no laundry detergent, no paper towel, all the things that I was hoping to just. I didn't order huge. I just ordered like one or two so I could have them for the next week or two. Nope, out. I don't know how that happens. I don't understand how they, something's going on here. Are they like selling laundry detergent on the black market now?
I don't know how I'm going to stock my new apartment.
Yeah.
Like whatever I don't have. Like, oh well.
I am not pleased about this circumstance right now because I need laundry detergent.
I've seen some tweets. If you go to a bodega, apparently they're fully stocked and empty, but all the grocery stores are packed and or fully stocked and empty of people. But all the grocery stores are empty of food and have many people.
Really?
Yeah.
I went to a market yesterday that will remain unnamed because I don't want everyone to like flock to it. It was I had everything totally normal. Yeah. So I don't understand. But then my brother went to Whole Foods. Whole Foods, it looks like a ravaging hordes have come through and taken everything.
So basically what I'm saying is stop being bougie, go to a bodega and get what you need.
Hey, great, dude. I love bodegas. Local small business. I'll make it. A bodega, by the way, for those who don't, it's a Spanish word for a grocery. We have them here in New York, and they're often owned by people from Dominican immigrant families, Puerto Rican immigrant families, and bodegas are a commonplace thing here in New York. I feel like they don't have that everywhere. They don't have delis in D.C., so, they definitely don't have bodegas.
D.C.'s a weird town.
It is a weird town. Everything closes at like 9 o'clock, too. John, hey, Buck, greetings from the beautiful mountains of Idaho. A buddy and a coworker I've known for almost 20 years has been trying to pass me the buck for the last few years, but 2 hours of content was always a little too much to squeeze in my packed load for podcasts, but I'm glad I got over that hang-up. I look forward to the Freedom Hut every day, even if I'm listening to it at 1.5 speed. Keep up the great work. Shields high. Well, John, thank you, man. Hey, listen to it as fast as you want. And for those of you that are listening and you want to kind of condense it, you could always try that. Listen to 1.5% speed. I speak with enough pauses between what I say because I hate filler words. Because I could sit here and totally talk the way that even some other radio hosts talk and they I don't like that. I like precision of language. I like people to be able to listen to what I'm saying. And the words that I'm using have a purpose. And the purpose is not to allow me to think of the next thing that I'm saying. I just will take a moment to think about the next thing that I'm saying. I prefer that. I've actually, one knock on me in the past has been sometimes people have been like, were you reading that monologue? And I'm like, no, I'm just talking. And they go, well, it sounds like you. And I'm like, well, do you think it sounds like a read? They go, no, but you're so few filler words that we assume that you were reading it, even if you were reading it really well and it didn't sound like a read in terms of tone. I don't know. Anyway, a little humble brag, a little pat on the back for the Buckster. Let's see what we got here. And thank you, John, for that. I appreciate it. Andy writes, hey, Buck, on your talk, I knew we were going to get some toilet paper action. On your talk about toilet paper, during college and at work, I bring in my own toilet paper from home. My university and workplace has cardboard for toilet paper, and I eat a good amount if you get my drift. What? What does that mean?
I think he's saying he poops a lot, Buck.
Oh, eat a good amount, period. I'm sorry. I thought he meant eat a good amount of, pardon me. I'm sorry. That was bad.
Wow.
I thought he was saying eat a good amount of cardboard for toilet paper.
I don't think he eats the toilet paper.
No, I understand, but that's why I was so confused. My workplace has cardboard for toilet paper, and I eat a good amount.
Okay. It's a grammar issue.
It's a grammar issue. You eat a good amount of what? Now I get it. Eat a good amount. Okay.
Yeah,
whoa. Pardon
me,
team. Sorry. I hope you're not having lunch. I'm guessing the TP run is because people think they have to quarantine for 2 weeks and they want to be prepared. You're the man. No, Andy, you're the man. I think you're correct. I just think that's, they can keep the shelves stocked if everyone just buys what they need. Look, if you want to buy what you need for the week, I get it. But to buy what you need for the month, if our shelves are all bare in a month, we got bigger problems than just whether or not you bought a month's worth of stuff. So I don't think that that's where we are. I will say that when I started in the media business a long time ago, I worked for Glenn Beck, and we did there was a lot of talk there, and Glenn would talk a lot about being prepared. And the people that tend to focus on preparation are not the kind of they're not like in your face, haha kind of people. But I think a lot of them right now are kind of like, yep, knew this was coming. Got 6 months worth of food in the basement, plenty of fresh water, a generator, ammunition, and we're fine. I'm just going to say it because they're not going to say it. But I know a lot of them are kind of like, hey. And meanwhile, in New York here, us bougie New Yorkers like, oh, good heavens, the Whole Foods is running short on seitan and tofu. We'll be all right. I hope. Chris writes, hey, Buck, as an English major back in college, I can appreciate all of your recent book recommendations. I always had thought that I have read 1984 back in high school, but it turns out I read Animal Farm. The only way of knowing that was by the fact that I save all my books that I've read. It's a goal of mine to one day have a whole collection and a nice bookshelf in my future home, probably not in my home state of California at the rate of housing costs nowadays. I'm curious, do you do the same in terms of saving all of your books? I like to refer back to them whenever I need as resources. Very good question, Chris, and thank you for writing in. I used to save all my books, but I've moved so many times, and books are so heavy when you have a lot. When I used to have multiple full bookshelves, I got a bookshelves, and I got so tired of carrying them and also finding a place for them in my tiny apartments because I am not a wealthy man. So I gave a lot away, and I really did. I don't throw them out. I took whole loads. I would use like rolling duffel bags and fill them with books and take over a couple at a time to a place called the Strand Bookstore here in New York City, where they'll pay you for some of your books, but really they're just going to like take them off your hands and then try to resell them or find a place for them. So I really appreciate that the Strand does that. You know, you go in there, you're like, these books are they're very wonderful, and I'm expecting to get a lot of money for them. And they'll go through like 50 of your books. They'll say, okay, great. Here's a check for $3. And you're like, not worth what I thought it was. So I do not hang on to. I hang on to books that have particular sentimental value, anything that's been inscribed by the author. I have a number of books that, you know, the author has written a little note to me or something. I keep those, obviously, and other books that I just feel like you got to have. But maybe I'll take some photos. I've done this before, and some people get mad at me because I say I don't do this. But and then I always do it. I can take some photos of my bookshelves because we're going to need to all hunker down a bit and get used to a lot of things being closed. And it's a great time to knock off some books from your reading shelf or from the stack. I got the stack next to the bed. Although now I'm a little bit more clean, so I don't really do that. I kind of have a stack that's next to the stack of books in my bookshelf. But I'll take a photo of what I have on the shelf. And yeah. And mostly I read from Kindle too, because I like to read at night before I go to sleep. It helps me fall asleep. And I can't, with the light on reading, that makes it harder for me to fall asleep. But with a Kindle, man, I could pass out in 15 minutes. So, yeah. Tom. While everyone in the media is consumed by the hysteria of the COVID-19 virus and the free fall of the stock market, the American judicial system is returning to status quo and sweeping all the crimes of the past 8 years under the rug. AG Barr has given the nod to continuation of the FISA program, no changes to FBI cover-ups, and no serious charges against anyone from the deep state for all the egregious crimes committed against the American people by institutionalized corruption in America. There may be more information coming that explains what happened today, but at the moment it appears that American citizens and our Constitution are getting screwed again. I'm with Lou Dobbs on this one. There should be outrage, but instead we're told the lack of real justice is the new normal. Any thoughts on this? Shields High, Buck. By the way, I know that there are some people who work in conservative media at certain websites who listen to this show. I know this for a fact. Listen to the show every day on 1.5 speed for ideas for articles and things. So I always appreciate that. I'm happy to help the movement in that way. And I mean that. I'm not being sarcastic. I really do appreciate that, and I'm happy to help people out. Tom, yeah, I mean, we're not going to see justice for the spying against Trump. In fact, they're probably going to try to do it again in the next election. And I know that that's like not what people want to hear, but I tell you the truth, even when I think it's not what people want to hear. There will not be justice for this. I think the left doesn't care what the Durham probe says. The AUSA in Connecticut, or no, the U.S. attorney, not the AUSA. The U.S. attorney in Connecticut, Durham, who's on this. It's not going to be enough. So yeah, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one, my man. So everybody, we are making contingencies to make sure the show stays on the air every day, no matter what happens, come what may. We are going to be thinking about all of you over the weekend. Producer Mark and I send you our biggest, warmest, I was going to say hugs, but I guess we can't touch. But, you know, we're thinking about you guys. And we're praying for all of you. We're all going to be fine. We're going to come through this. We're going to have some celebratory shows in a few months where we can talk about how we're all past this. Take care of yourself. Take this seriously. And remember our rallying cry. Remember our battle cry here on the show. Shields high.